All right, I'm as ready as I'm gonna be.
You want to kiss for a second?
There's a lot of excited people watching this right now. Well, not right now, but when it plays, there's a lot of excited people.
You really think so?
I think so.
I don't know.
So,
What?
I don't even know how to like lead up to this. Okay.
So this is after they've played.
No, this is before.
So this
they
is
haven't seen. They don't know yet.
Oh, so I'm not really sure how you put it together yet.
So this is a little banter on the front end.
Oh.
So guys, we've been telling you for a while now that this was not our forever home. Okay, so now we're on the other side of the driveway. We're still in the front yard. This is where a lot of the changes are about to happen on our property, and we're really excited about it. Our goal here, because we're big believers in stewarding the little well before you move on to the big, our goal is to completely utilize the 4 acres that we have here at this property. And our goal is to eventually have a much larger farm operation. But as of right now, where we're at is we are trying to completely utilize the, 4.11 acres. It's actually less than 4.5. So I'm going to show you our plans, what we're planning on doing. Obviously, could change. You know, we have good ideas and change plans sometimes. And sometimes we have bad ideas and change plans. But usually that's actually me doing that. So I'm proud of Jeremiah for not chiming in on that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've loved this place fully. It has been our desire to steward this well, to turn this waiting room into a classroom, but it didn't start that way.
No, this was our dream come true.
Yeah, like the first couple of years, we thought that we would live in this house forever. We tried really hard to secure land around here. Mm-hmm. Multiple places. We leased multiple places when we had horses, and we tried really hard to work deals out with people, and everything that we ever worked out fell through. My dad tried to buy the house around the street, made an overpriced offer, and got outbid. Like there were so many things that fell through as far as us trying to expand here. Didn't really make sense at the time.
It
was extremely discouraging.
Yeah, and frustrating.
Yeah, and then it became evident to us that we were not going to stay here.
The big moment that shifted for me that we wouldn't stay here was whenever my mom passed. I think that's what the catalyst that started me on like the mind journey of moving away from here started after my mom passed away.
I think that's probably when I started to become like I could see it. So another thing is we have been here. First we had 4 acres, and then we had family in the house next door. Jeremiah's mom lived in the house next door, and we had 7 acres, and we've continued to use the property next door. And I would say we've learned a ton. We lived in town. You had some experience in your childhood of like growing food and living in the country, but nothing like administrative. Like you were never making decisions. You were just doing the work.
Yeah, but even that was like minimal experience.
Yeah. Like Jeremiah couldn't back up a trailer like whenever we moved here.
There was a lot I couldn't do when we moved here. I didn't know how to drive a truck and trailer safely. Like I said, never built a fence. Didn't have very many tools. Like my trusty T-post driver, which I think is like should be a staple on any farm. Like didn't even know what that was.
I'd never milked a goat. I'd never grown more than a small garden. Yeah, there were so many things that we learned here that we really just took the leap into homesteading. And a few years ago, what happened was we kind of realized like, okay, we could stay here, but one, we'll always be dependent on a feed store because we can't grow, large amounts of grass. We wouldn't be able to really have a cow here responsibly. There were a couple of things that were limitations that we wanted to address, but we could have stayed here. We could have stayed busy. We could have been happy. That was fine, but it basically came down to the fact that we knew we wanted to do more. That we wanted to do something bigger. For one, we wanted to secure a property for our home that we could be sustainable, that we could move further away from the feed stores. And we also wanted to make a move that eventually we'll have a community impact by getting another piece of property that we will build our learning center on. And we've talked about that. We're going to be sharing more about that dream soon. We're nowhere near to like making any of that stuff happen, but we are dreaming on it. So there's been a process unfolding over the last handful of months. We've been kind of giving you bits and pieces.
Mostly we've been holding on to it. We haven't really told you just a whole lot.
Yeah. Well, we needed to let things get solid. We need to talk to our family and work out all the logistics. There's still a lot of logistics that need to be worked out. But we bought some land.
We did.
We bought some beautiful land.
A big piece. At least big for us.
Do you guys want to see it? Let's go. Hey guys, welcome to Roots and Refuge Farm. Alright guys, now I'm filming this weeks before you will actually see it. Right now, we went on this trip for this week and worked really hard before leaving to upload lots of daily content so we could kind of go under the radar. But logistically, it wasn't going to be feasible for us to bring our whole family back and forth while we transition to our new property. So we wanted to make a family trip out here and see our new land, show it to our children. And while we're here, we decided to go ahead and shoot a video giving you a tour. So that's what this is. This is the first video that I will ever shoot on this new property, our forever farm. And I'm actually gonna grab Sweet Maya and we are just gonna take you around. I was telling him yesterday, wow, it's like having a gift that we get to give people. Like, I can't wait to show our friends and our family this property for the first time, each and every one of them. It's like another unveiling. But of course, one of the biggest unveilings that we're so excited about is this video right here. Right now, I'm so excited to share this with you. It feels monumental, like we've been leading up to it for a really long time. And as things go, like whenever you're buying property, when you're making a big move, there's always kind of that unknown factor and the beauty and the difficulty that comes with stepping into something new and giving up what you love even and what's old and familiar. And we've been processing all of that. But this moment is nothing but good. This is nothing but exciting. Getting to share this with you is like icing on the cake of this massive dream coming true. So I'm gonna get Maya, we're gonna get on the four-wheeler because this is a pretty big piece of land. Hey, Sweet Maya.
Thanks, sweet Jess.
The little pond.
The little pond.
In 2018, we came out here for a visit. And that day, Sweet Maya looked at me and told me that he felt like we were gonna move here. And I'd kind of felt that, but logistically I could not wrap my head around it. And so we kind of just prayed about it and put it where you put things that are outside of your control, you know, that you're kind of dreaming about and thinking about, and just left it there and kept focusing on what was right in front of us and focusing on stewarding that well. At the end of last year, we really felt like it was time to kind of start making some moves in this direction. We had paid off debt and just saved and gotten to the point where we felt like we could, you know, start looking for land.
Right.
We'd been looking for months.
You had been looking.
I'd been looking for months, loosely. And we made a trip out here in October and we found a piece of land that we weren't crazy about, but
it was a good piece of land.
It was solid. It was just going to be a lot of work. It needed some clearing. The pastures were overgrown.
And it had no water, no bodies of water, so no ponds or anything like that.
Yeah, and so it was kind of like not exactly what we were looking for, But we really feeling like it's about time for us to do this, for us to start making these moves. So we put in an offer.
We did.
And it was tied up in a trust, and so they told us they needed a couple of weeks. And we were sitting at the kitchen table the next week, having coffee, and Maya's phone buzzed, and he picked it up, and he handed me this real estate listing, and he was like, Jess. And I thought, Maya, we've already kind of started rolling the ball on another deal.
She wouldn't even look at it.
I was like, that is beautiful, but you know, like, we're kind of committed here. I think he looked at that listing like 5 times a day. Like, he was just constantly pulling it up on his phone.
Just kept coming back.
Yeah.
And the longer it took for us to hear something back on the first one, the more I kept looking at it. I mean,
yeah.
I just kept thinking, like, this is actually closer to what we were looking for and what our dream was than anything we've looked at.
So when our realtor called us back and said, I don't think we're going to hear back from these first people. I don't know. They're probably running some legal issues with their trust. Jeremiah said, no problem, man. I'll be out there this weekend. I got another property I want to look at. He bought a plane ticket. So I actually just saw our land for the first time. He flew out here and bought this and brought me and the kids out now in the spring.
And I severely undersold it.
Oh, undersold it big time. I actually thought this pond, because this is the smaller pond, and I thought that this was not even like usable. I thought this was like, I was calling it like the puddle pond, and it is not. This is like a legitimate actual body of water. This has fish in it. I mean, it's like a couple, at least, I don't know, 100 by 140 feet. Like, I mean, it's a good sized pond. It needs a little bit of cleaning up. It's getting a little overgrown, but overall, I mean, it's got life in it and it's great.
If the land just had this pond, it would be good.
It would be good. It would be a good pond. So we have 27 acres. And right now it is entirely fenced and cross-fenced, though the fences do need some work. It is a bonus because we're getting all of these T-posts and a lot of usable posts, and some of the fences are usable right now. It's something to start with.
It was mostly set up for like just keeping cattle on,
yeah.
So some of the cross-fencing and fencing isn't going to work
for goats and our
the way we're going to do things. So, you know, I'm going to pull that stuff out and like I'm going to probably repaint all like the old T-posts and stuff. We're going to repurpose as much as we can.
Yeah. When we first got here, one of the first things I had Maya do was take me around, even though it was kind of raining, to meet the trees.
This is a great tree.
This is a great tree.
It kind of sits off in one of the main pasture areas. It will be the tree where our future milk cow comes and sits in the shade. All the goaties and Gabriel probably hang out a lot.
Yep. This is a great tree. One of the big benefits of this piece of land is that it is almost entirely established pastures. It's been used to run cattle. The soil here is clayish in this region. This particular piece of property actually has a nice layer of topsoil because of
the many years
of cattle.
When we first got here, I mean, I knew it whenever I walked it, but I tried to explain to Jessica, like, there's a lot of clover, like, just everywhere. And found out from the neighbor who helped build this land up with his dad that you know, they used to purposely feed clover seed to help seed the clover into the field. So
we really talked about it, and the main thing we wanted to get a piece of property where we could grow the food for our family sustainably, which means having enough space to actually pasture raise things, to not be so dependent on the grocery store, to be able to grow feed crops and different things like that. This is really going to help us
not be so dependent on feed stores.
Yeah, and that's what we were really looking for. So the real important thing for us when we were looking for a property, we had our budget, and within that we wanted to get as much established pasture as possible. But I love trees, and I didn't want just a flat piece of ground with nothing on it. So there was kind of this dream that I had of slightly rolling topography, great pastures with some beautiful trees, though not a lot of clearing work. And I had this desire for a tree, an epic tree, and a pond. Because I love to fish, and I love teaching my kids how to fish, and fishing is such a strong memory of my childhood that I've always said it would be so cool to be able to go out in your yard and fish. So when Maya came out and looked in this property, I think probably he could see it from the potential of knowing farming and knowing what we wanted to do sustainably, rotating pastures, building soil in a permaculture sense. He looked at it from that point of view, but he also looked at it from the point of view of a man who wants to give his wife her dreams. And he thought, this is exactly what Jessica has talked about the entire time that I've known her. So perfect. The point of this trip was to bring our kids out, familiarize them with this property, so that when Jeremiah is doing the back and forth of getting some logistics handled and I'm staying home taking care of our current farm, because we are planting our garden this spring and growing through this summer until we move. And we wanted the kids to just know where we were going. We wanted them to be able to see it. And so we came out here, we've met all our neighbors, which have provided the exemplary southern hospitality that you would expect, and it has been absolutely wonderful. All right, let's go see my epic tree.
We're going epic tree next? Okay.
Yep. This is a pretty tree, but it's not my epic tree.
They're all pretty.
They're all pretty. We have 4 structures on the property in varying states of, how would you say that?
Disrepair?
Yeah, and some of them are great. 2 of them are big, like hay storage, equipment storage barns, which are fantastic. 2 of them, like this one behind us, probably in the long run will come down, but it's great for us now because making such a big move, it gives us an opportunity to get our animals out here with us and then build what we want to have out here. So we're really thankful for everything that's here. Even the stuff that we're going to replace, it's really going to help us with this big transition. Here it is, a mighty oak with its roots sunk deep in the water. It's absolutely gorgeous, and in fact, our future home will be right up here on this high place in this pasture, overlooking this epic tree and our beautiful pond, which is full of fish. And we've spent this entire week with the kids fishing, just non-stop. And every single time I had thought about this property, like prior to this, I'd imagine my kids like going and getting their fishing poles and walking down to the pond like, Mom, I'm bored, and like going outside and sitting on the dock and fishing. And this week has been such a fulfillment of that, and seeing it, and every single one of my sons has just spent hours out here just reeling in little sunfish and just completely blowing me away. It's just, if you notice that I might not be as eloquent and poetic as normal, I'm just shocked, guys. We've been here exploring this property for 5 days now, and the shock hasn't worn off. I cannot believe the perfection of it. So it's very, very hard to convey just looking at blank land like this, but our house will be here oriented towards the street, and we're gonna build our raised bed garden along the side of the house here. This is south facing, and then we're gonna put a big workshop back here and some high tunnels. What are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts? I told you the bigger teddy bear would be worth it.
Maya, this is my most favorite view. This is my most favorite section.
What's this?
Just like looking from here, all out right here in this little lane by the pond. I love this so much. We're actually getting ready to head home. We have one thing we're gonna do first before we go. We've been here all week and it's been amazing. It's weird, like, I really miss my dog and my animals, and I'm so excited to get my garden in. I miss my little baby plants. But it feels different.
It feels different. Like, I usually can't go 5 days with away from, you know, home without feeling like, man, I just want to go home. And this is probably the first time that I'm like, I really don't want to leave here.
Yeah. It'll be incredibly cool when this is going home.
Yeah. Very soon.
Very soon. Are y'all catching anything?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. We were pulling them out fast the other day.
Yeah, like Asher had gotten one off his rod and then he stuck his pole in the water while he's putting the other one back, and he pulled it up and there's already another fish on it.
I know. Got a new worm on?
Yeah.
All right. Hey guys, I wanted to ask you something. So we've been showing our YouTube friends around our new property and telling them all about it, but there's one thing we haven't told them yet. They have no idea where we are.
Oh, yeah.
You think we should tell them?
Yeah.
You should tell them. We should tell them where we're moving.
Yes.
Jackson's like, maybe not.
He likes suspense movies.
All right, guys. On 3, let's tell them.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. We're moving to South Carolina. Well, it would not make sense to leave our new property without planting something.
I mean, do you even garden?
Though Maya's going to be coming back and forth over the next couple of months, getting some things set up and the logistics handled for us to all come out here at the end of the summer. We wanted to kind of commemorate this week, the week that we met this land. I met it. They'd become acquainted already. And the week that we fell in love with it. And so we bought a tree. You want to grab it? This is a little bit of a risk, but you know, I like taking those when it comes to planting stuff. We are not going to be back here for probably for at least a month. And usually when you plant trees, you want to water them in pretty well. So we're choosing a spot near the drain off of the pond where we feel like the ground is going to stay relatively like more wet. It can put some roots down and get to some water pretty quick. We decided to go ahead and add something that I've always loved. I found very romantic. We had to go to a few different stores to find it, but we bought this young weeping willow, and this is one of the big ones, so when it's fully mature it can be like up to 70 feet tall. And we're putting it here near the edge of the pond, so essentially one day it'll be really massive and overhanging the pond right here by the front gate, and we'll be able to watch this tree grow as we grow here at our new farm.
Woo-hoo!
Good picking, good spot picking.
Thanks. I chose a spot that had room and that, yeah.
You chose the spot for our willow tree? Yeah. Ezra, I hope someday when this tree is huge and you're a grown man, you'll come and sit underneath it and remember that you chose the spot for it. Can you do that?
I'll probably be doing that until I grow until 20.
Until you're 20? Okay.
And then when I'm an old man, I'll do it one last time.
And when you're an old man, you'll do it again? Okay. That's a deal. I can deal with that.
So it's fun. But I'm going to get this out.
Hey, Ezra. Dump that soil in there. Scoop it. No, scoop it with your hands.
Scrape it out of there, sir.
Okay, come around on the other side. There you go.
There you go.
Wet.
We want it to hold some moisture for
It's super duper wet. I'm gonna put it in. This is where we're burying it at?
Mm-hmm.
I'm frozen.
Shut up.
You just dump a little bit.
It's nice and soft. It's going to hold moisture for this tree and help it get its roots out and established.
I know it's squishy because I pat it with my foot. This is supposed to be protecting it, right?
All right, now put your hands on it and pray for it to grow. Yeah, bless you, tree.
Bless you. Bless you. Cute.
Welcome back to our table after visiting South Carolina, where we are moving. We have a lot of work to do.
We have a ton of work to do. I'm excited about the work. It's not even overwhelming.
I'm so excited.
With all that I've learned on this property, like, it's really just exciting. I'm really just excited to do
I'm a little
all
sad.
the work. I'm sad.
So it's bittersweet, guys. We didn't hold anything back when we realized that we were going. We came home from that trip we mentioned in 2018. We actually went out to South Carolina on my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And we came home and built the window greenhouse and put in the perennial garden, knowing full well that our plan was to leave within 3 years.
Yep.
And that's really just what we'd felt in our heart. We'd been praying over it. And we just really felt like that's what we were being led, that we would be there within 3 years. But we believe in legacy. And so it wasn't a matter of, okay, how minimally can we invest ourselves here, because we know we're not going to be stewarding this forever. It was more like how maximally?
You're the one that writes books. How are you looking at me?
We were like, how much of ourselves, see, when you don't know how to use a word, you just avoid it.
Wow.
Pro tip. We just thought, how much of ourselves can we put in here? How awesome can we make this so that when we hand it off to someone else, we know we're giving them the highest diving board that we possibly can.
It's really just a simple farming, gardening technique applied outside of the garden. Sowing and harvesting.
Yeah, it is.
It's that simple. Whatever we sow here for whoever takes over this property,
we'll harvest
we'll harvest it. That's just how that's the kingdom.
So I will tell you, it's extremely hard. I have felt overjoyed over the unfolding of this. I have cried more times than I can tell you. I've looked out my window and thought, oh gosh, I have to shoot my last garden tour here in a few short months. But I will tell you that going and making that visit to South Carolina, it shifted my heart, because I'm ready to go home. It doesn't feel like I'm losing a home anymore. I'm ready to go home. And I'm ready to watch what happens here. Speaking of planting willows, one thing that makes it better
Or easier.
is knowing whose hands we're leaving it in. Y'all ready?
Yep.
We bless you. Until next time.